gonna do it. I'm gonna trade my old clerk for a Rockstar dame. Might even get my broker to change his game. Cause we all just wanna work with title rock stars and sell some hilltop houses closing 15 more. The cities come easy and the closings go quick. We'll all stay busy cause we just don't quit.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Rockstar Closers podcast. We are here in the beautiful studio. Miss Nicole, co-host extraordinaire. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good because we have my brother from another mother, the OG of real estate. I mean, we owe so much to this guy, and I'm so excited. And I don't even think I have to say it.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
That's the goal.
There
That's
it
the
is.
goal.
Butter me up.
Mark Gatta of Opus Elite Real Estate. He has built a massive, massive brokerage. 0 to 60. It feels like months, but it's been only a few years.
Sure.
We're going to get into the nitty gritty today. For those of you who don't know this guy, he and his partner Volkan Andich have done
Andich.
Is it Andich?
Andich.
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 Volkan Andich.
Or Andic.
Or Andic, depending on what kind of mood you're in. Okay.
There's no cuts in.
I didn't even know that's. I didn't know that's how you say
this
it.
is going. Okay, let's keep going.
But we're going to get into a lot. But I want everyone to know, full disclaimer, we all work together regularly. We're all very good friends. So this is all very familiar territory for all of us. But I'm super excited to tell your story, as I have multiple times, and get into where Opus Elite is now.
Sure.
I'm pulling it back in, guys. I'm pulling it back in. But we're going to get into the nitty gritty and talk about you from the beginning stages. But I think first and foremost, and it's not flattery, it's flattery, but it's honesty. The three of us, real estate, lending, title, have found a way to create a symbiotic collaborative relationship that I believe in the theory of the 1 + 1 + 1 = 10. Right? And we figured out that because we're so interdependent, but also have such great respect and admiration for each other, that we're all able to elevate each other's brands in such an amazing way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's crazy how far we've come. I think about this. I get emotional with it. I mean, we've really come so far from when we first started, and you engaging with me on social media just to try to build a little bit of a rapport. And now you're like my brother. I mean, honestly, I call you about problems. We talk to each other, non-real estate related. Nicole, I love her like a sister, and it's just pretty cool how things all work out, right?
Yeah.
The stars have aligned, and like-minded people tend to attract like-minded people. That's
It
what
is, but you know what I appreciate about you the most? You come to a certain level, and everyone around you, you command that, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Meaning, you and I will talk, and there are things that I need to do professionally. I mean, I've been doing this a while now, but there are still things that you do to say, come on, man, come on. And that only helps me.
Sure.
And I think that is what a true partnership is. It's the ability to take things to help and be constructive as a way to say, hey, I want you there with me. I want to win this together with you.
Sure.
Which is such an incredible thing about you.
Well, and in your defense, and in both of your defenses, you know, I'm not the easiest guy to work with. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm the first one to say it. I am not the easiest guy to work with. Like, you see the happy-go-lucky Mark. Behind the scenes, I'm tough as nails sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know that I'll reach out to Nicole, and 10 minutes later, I'm like, hey, did you get that? Or I'll ask you about something, and if I don't like the answer, I'll ask you again. If I get another no, I'll ask you a third time. Like, you guys deal with that really, really well. And not everyone is like that, which is you know, that is our relationship. And you hold me accountable as well. So, you know, my job is to motivate you, but in turn, you know, you guys are really helping us grow. I mean, you're partners of ours, and that's what has allowed us to grow in such a short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah.
I think I just want to interject here
Please
because you
do.
two are like.
Please do. Well, no, that's why you should. Disclaimer: we told her to sit in the middle.
And my head's a ping pong ball going back and forth between the two of them, like.
That was really bad.
You better interject.
Stop talking. Good.
I just want to say, like, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, and I think that you have done a fantastic job of interjecting those particular people that will help you grow and help you just exceed in everything that you do, and including your agents.
Sure.
I think you make really good choices as far as the agents that you allow into Opus, and they all, you know, I've had many experiences with many agents and many brokerages, and I'd have to say that your brokerage is one of the best group of agents, honestly, I mean that. They're just so team oriented, and there are brokerages out there that are not, that are, catty and petty and not saying that doesn't happen, because it does. However, you guys do a really great job of nicking it.
So the first thing I talk to our agents about when they first come on board is that we do have a zero tolerance for negativity. I mean, positivity is so important to us. And I also tell our agents, you become the average, and I tell my children every day, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. You've talked to my daughter about it before as well, right? I say that all the time, and it's so true. We have hundreds of agents now, and we've created such an amazing group, and we don't have the drama that you see in other brokerages. And I'm not knocking the other companies out there, but we are selective in who we bring in. And I talk to people all the time, and the first thing that they say is, well, is there a level, a volume threshold that you have before you bring people in? And the reality is no. We have brand new agents that are newly licensed, and we have $50 million producers and then some. And we don't look at volume. We look at relationships. We look at their dynamic out there in the community and how they treat other agents. We look at their social media and see how they put themselves out there. That to me is more important than anything. I've taught sales my entire life. I can teach. That's the one thing I'm good at in life. I can teach you how to sell. I can teach you how to make money. I can't train you to have the personality that I have or our agents have. So we really make it a point to bring in like-minded individuals. And when I say that, I laugh when I hear these other brokerages and they call all of our agents daily and say, oh, you're a perfect fit for so-and-so. We'd love to have you. You'd be a perfect fit for us. And we have a desk here waiting for you. And I laugh at that because I've turned $20 million producers away and didn't even think twice. And you guys know the names of the people that I've turned away. And we do that because we want to have like-minded individuals within our brokerage. And what ends up happening is, because we've done that on numerous occasions and our agents see that and they say, oh, well, they turned away that girl and she was a $10 million producer and she led a team. Well, why did they turn her away? And they start doing some research and they realize that they weren't like us. So because we're not actively calling and recruiting people, because that's not our model, our agents are our mouthpieces. They want to bring in people and they want to grow what we have in a special way, and they want to keep the dynamic and the culture that we have. So we've been able to grow exponentially in a short period of time because of our agents, not because of me. You're not going to get a call from me saying, hey, I want you to come to Opus. And maybe I'm, cut your nose and spite your face or whatever they say. That's not who I am as a person. I don't want to be called. People call me daily. We'd love to see you take over this. That's not who I am. I'm a salesperson. I don't want to be sold to. So I would hope that you feel the same way. They're always welcome to come in and interview with us, but I'm not going to sit there and call you and say you're a great fit. Up until now we've been able to grow in a short period of time, and it isn't because of the recruiting process that we have. It's not that. That's not who we are.
Let's talk about that. What your differentiator? And for those that don't know, Mark has had a lifelong journey of being an entrepreneur. You started out with your chain of the espresso. Was it espresso tan? I always forget. Espresso.
And that was business 101. If you're picking a name for your business, make sure that it's very clearly understood, because that was the biggest challenge, right?
Yeah.
So the name of the business was Espresso Tan. Chris is saying yes. Express-O-Tan. No one ever got it right. No one ever got it right. Espresso tan, espresso, one word, express tan. People call it espresso, but that was the name of the business. It was a play on words because we were a tanning salon coffee bar. So we had coffee and lattes and all that fun stuff in the front and tanning in the back.
So when you took that dive, and just thinking back to it then, tell me, you built it from scratch or you bought a place?
I did. I was always a firm believer. I came from the corporate world, right? So I was a district manager for a company called Radio Shack. I don't remember that company. You're laughing. I'm dating myself. Listen, you're older than me, so don't start laughing, girl.
What was the other one? Circuit City? Was that around the same time?
Circuit City. Oh, man, that was my first credit card.
So, see?
$700.
Yeah, maxed it out, and that's why you got bad credit. Anyway, so I started with Radio Shack, and I started at 15 years old. I'm a creature of habit, clearly. I started my first job at Radio Shack, and I ended my career in the corporate world with Radio Shack. So I did that from age 15 until about 22 while I was working my way through college and doing whatever else. And I learned a lot from Radio Shack, but the one thing I did learn is that I'm not really a rule follower per se. I don't love...
Wait, you learned that from a job and not from life?
No, I'm not. I don't like to stay within the box, right? So when Volcon and I were considering going the franchise route, we realized it wasn't a good fit. That's why we started our own business. So back to the tanning salon. So I was at Radio Shack, transitioned out of Radio Shack, and opened at 23 years old. I opened my first tanning salon, and that was tough. I went from making a really good living, having a company car, company laptop, having 250 employees under me, and
at 23, that's a lot.
At 23, yeah. And it was great, but I was dealing directly with the managers. I had 23 or 24 managers working under me, and then I had to transition into something else because I just started doing the math, and I'm like, well, I'm required to work 55 hours a week. I'm commuting to North Jersey every day, 2 hours up, 2 hours back. It's about 85, 90 hours a week. I'm making $100,000 a year. That comes out to about $6 an hour. So I'm like, let me figure something else out. So I left that job. I borrowed money off my parents. I took my life savings. I liquidated everything I had, which was not much, and I opened my first tanning salon. And that was Espresso Tan in Ben Salem. That was the first.
So you had to figure out. Was it just tan, or was it the coffee bar with it?
Oh, the Espresso Tan. Yeah.
So did you not do any of it?
Well, I mean, I'm Italian. Of course, I know coffee. No, well, yeah. I mean, I grew up drinking espresso and cappuccino, and my father was very particular about his espresso and his cappuccino, so I knew how to make coffee, but not on the mass scales, right? Yeah. So I knew that, and obviously I know tanning, right? So, and the thing is this, and this is my thought process behind it, not to get too deep, was tanning alone, even at that, well, now forget it, but tanning, even at that time, in its heyday, when it was very strong, is very difficult to stand on its own. So you find tanning salons are usually doing something in conjunction with tanning, right? Tanning and clothing, tanning, and I've seen tanning in laundromats. You're sitting in a laundromat for an hour, what are you going to do? Might as well tan.
That's a good idea.
So I didn't see tanning and coffee, but I thought tanning typically is busier in the spring and summer months. Well, try to think of something that's busy in those off months, right? Something that's counter-seasonal. Well, coffee is great in the winter. So and we were able to capitalize even in the summer months with the lattes and all the ice stuff and whatever. But my point is, when the tanning slowed down, the coffee picked up and vice versa. So it worked out really well.
How scared were you, if at all, going from Radio Shack to the tanning salon?
Yeah, I was petrified at first and the main reason was not because of the little bit of money that I had, I mean, which was my life savings, but life savings. I was 23 years old, so and it wasn't that. It wasn't the $150,000 loan that I signed to get all the tanning beds. It wasn't the 10-year lease that I signed at $3,000 a month that I knew I was committed to. It was the $25,000 that I borrowed off my parents to help me build out the place. That was because up until then, my parents were always very generous with me, but I never borrowed anything off my parents. So that was the first thing I had to pay off. I wanted to pay that off right away. As soon as I paid that off, then I'm like, oh, this is easy. No problem. Then I paid the beds off, and then I just had the rent. And then me, I'm like, all right, well, everything's paid off. So I'm on autopilot. Time to open up more. And then I did, and then we opened up more. So
that was how many spots over how many years?
I only had 4. I had 4 locations.
That's pretty. From 23 to what? 25, 26?
26, 27. Yeah,
Were you married at that point?
I was engaged to Maria at 23, and talk about how you know that your wife's the right one. When we signed the lease in Ben Salem, I was we had to kind of renovate the whole place. My father and I renovated the entire place. Well, I didn't have a ton of money to start buying new everything. I bought new tanning beds. That was the most important. So there's like ceiling tile that come down. Well, the business that was there before, it was all like old, and they were all yellow ceiling tile. So I tell my father, I'm like, what's it going to cost to replace all these ceiling tile? And he was like, let's say $1,500. I'm like, get a nice white coat of paint. Took all the tile down. My wife and I were rolling out the paint, and this is when we were dating. So I'm like, she's got to be a keeper. So anyway, but so I had a few of those going, and then I'll kind of tell you how I transitioned into real estate. I was at my last salon. So I had sold off the other salons, closed one, sold off a couple, sold off the one in Ben Salem. I had the one in South Philadelphia. And I'm working, and I loved it. I'm sitting in basketball shorts every day. I'm not working hard. I'm drinking espresso, hanging out with the less desirables. I'm making a good living. I was doing well. No offense to the good people in South Philly, but I was doing really well. And it was very easy. And I was talking to my mother one day.
For some people, that is the dream.
Yeah, right? Right? For real.
Yeah. So I was talking to my mother.
But not for Mark, guys.
Not for Mark. So, and I'll speed it up because I can talk forever, guys. So I was talking to my mother one day, and she said, what are you going to do after tanning? I'm like, nothing. What do you mean? I'm making a living here. She's like, you got 4 kids. Your wife's not working anymore. She said, you're making a living. You're not making that kind of a living. You better figure something out. Why don't you get your real estate license? I'm like, no offense to the awesome realtors out there. I'm like, have you seen some of these realtors? I said, Mom, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was young. I have a college degree. I ran a successful tanning salon. Why would I get my real estate license? She said, well, listen, get it. I'll pay for your licensing. Just get it. Even if you sell a house or 2 a year, it's something. And maybe you could transition to that one day. I said, all right, I'll do it. I got my license. And I came in at a really good time and got my license in like April. And the first year I sold like 8 or 9 houses from April till December. I'm like, not bad. This isn't just paying like the whatever I was hoping to pay my homeowner's insurance or hoping to pay my, health care. I'm like, just pay.
How are you telling people then that you're doing it?
Oh, it was easy. I had a captive audience. I had 200 people coming into my salon every day.
Yeah.
So I had like bistro tables where we set up coffee. I had a sign that said that I'm a realtor on duty. Everybody knew me as either Mark's son or Mark the realtor. So it was literally one of the two, right? Genius. So it was. I mean, people were literally coming in every day. But then I started noticing more people were asking me about real estate than asking me about tanning, and I see the tanning decline, right? So for a good period of time, for about 2 or 3 years, I was still managing to sell. I was selling full time, 30, 40, 50 houses a year, whatever I was selling at the time, and still working 40 or 50 hours a week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That got to be a lot. My nights and weekends were made up of showing houses. I had no life. My kids are growing up. I'm not getting to see them. I'm literally working every day. And then I realized, all right, something's got to go. I got to figure something out. If I can free up an extra 40 or 50 hours a week, and I'm already selling X amount of houses a year, this should free up a lot of time and hopefully, allow me to grow in my real estate career.
But
I just want to chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just going back, I keep thinking about what you said, how you were more worried about your parents, the money that they lent you, than you were all the other things.
Yeah.
And I got to commend you for that, because I think that nowadays kids don't care.
Yeah.
They could care less that they borrowed money from their parents, and
It's all in how you were raised, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying people were raised
I think
bad,
that's your
but-
character.
Yeah, listen, my parents came from a town in Italy, a farm town, where they were literally like farmers and had nothing. My dad came to the United States, talk about the American dream, came to the United States with literally $20 in his pocket.
Yeah.
And my mom was raised here, it was a different story, different dynamic, but coming from that, and the fact that I go back there every year to our town, and I see like my cousins that are out there picking olives and raising cattle and doing all this type of stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, this is work. So I see what my parents had to go through to get here. I see that my father came here and worked as like a maintenance guy, and then he did drafting, and then he became a builder and made a great career for himself. My mother had a business. I see that they put the work and time in. If I let them down, like I'm my worst, like I'm my toughest, what do you call it? My worst
Critic.
Yeah, my worst critic. But I never want to let them down. So that was it. And now, fast forward later, I don't want to let my family down. So that's kind of what motivates me every day. And that's that. So I transitioned out of the tanning industry. I started selling houses full time. And funny story, my first day I shut down the salon, sold it, had some money in my pocket. I'm like, this is great. I'm full time real estate. I'm making money. I have no headache. This is like, it was just so easy because I didn't have to worry about leaving the house at 5 a.m. to get to the salon, to turn the coffee machines on and working all day. I'm like, no, I'm home. I woke up. I have my pajama pants on. I'm working my computer, writing offers about 8 o'clock in the morning. Maria's getting the kids off to school, or who was in, I think at that point they were probably all in some sort of school. And I look at Maria, I'm like, hey, what are you up to? She's like, just getting the kids ready for school, making breakfast and whatever else. I'm like, okay, cool. A little bit later, what you making for lunch, Marie? I'm making chicken salad. Do you want a sandwich? Yeah, no problem, thanks. Chicken salad. All right, what are we gonna do for dinner tonight? Let's try to make something special. She looks at me, she's like, no. See this shit right here? This is not gonna work. Flat out. She's like, this is not gonna work. See, me, you married 10 years already. If you wanna last another 10 years, you gotta get yourself an office today, not tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, all right, I gotta figure this out. I had no team, I had no admin, it was just me. So I happened to be that day, I was at a settlement at a local KW office. And I went in there, and I happened to see a guy that I knew that owned a title company at the time, and he said to me, he was out there, I think he was doing like title disbursements or whatever, and we talked, and I said, hey, you have any office space? I know you have a bunch of properties in the area. He's like, yeah, sure, I can get you an office. And I said, I don't want any favors though, I'll pay the rent, whatever. He's like, yeah, no problem. We'll put you in a place. So he did. He put me in a place, and that office, not to divulge too much information, happened to be shared with another local brokerage. Okay, so I was like, this is kind of odd. I said, I'm not looking to start a company. I just want office space, but I'm working here with another brokerage, even though they were operating their title company out of there. It just seemed kind of weird. And I asked him, I said, are you sure you're okay with this? And they're okay with this? He's like, yeah, it's my building. Don't sweat it. Are you sure? Absolutely. So I'm working there. And he's like, in fact, there's 2 desks in there. Why don't you grab somebody else and you can work out of there? Okay, well, I'll grab somebody else. I called a lender friend of mine. And he said, why don't you call Volcon? Volcon is the opposite of you. You're quiet. You're quiet. I mean, you're loud. He's quiet. You'll complement each other perfectly. And I knew him because he was a manager at our existing brokerage where we were at. So I said, all right, no problem. I'll call Volkan up, and I asked him, Volkan, hey, do you want to maybe get an office with me? I got a little spot for us. He's like, yeah, sure, sounds great. To this day, this breaks my heart. Okay, so he comes in. Volkan has a little laptop. Comes in with his bag. I show him the office space, and it was literally like half. There was these 2 desks, right? That's your space there, Volkan. This is my space. And he's like, all right, great. So we worked for about an hour. All right. Going to go home. I'll see you tomorrow. And I think he even said partner. I'll see you tomorrow. Partner shakes my hand. We leave. And he was so happy. I said, before we leave, I said, I want to introduce you to Steve, who happened to run the company at the time. And I go and introduce him to him. And we're talking. And Steve had this look on his face. And it wasn't the look that he had given me when he said, bring other people into the office. I'm just like, this is very strange. So I said bye to Volkan. I went back to him. And I said, what's the problem? I said, there's definitely a problem here. He's like, you're right. I said, what? He's like, I have to ask you to leave. I said, what do you mean? He's like, there's a problem. We're getting pushback. It's not the agents. It's, I guess, the corporate, whatever. I don't know who it was. I don't really care who it was. I have to ask you to leave here. Mark, I feel horrible. He said, you can stay till the end of the month. I said, but you have to go. I said, well, I'm Italian. Listen, I'll never stay 3 minutes past if I'm not welcome. So I didn't have anything. I got my laptop and I walked out and I said, thank you very much. I'll find you another place, I promise you. Sure enough, he called me the next day, and he found us another place. But at that point, I said, listen, if we're going to actually get this from you, I need a lease. I need to know that I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay here, and we're good. And sure enough, we signed the lease, Volkan and I, and that was our first kind of office space that we worked together. And it's right across the street from where our main office is in Newtown. So that's how we started out. We were working under another brokerage, and we formed a little team under that old brokerage. And it was great. It was great. And then, soon after, we started the whole Opus thing.
The two, I want to know in the beginning, the two of you was like peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. Like that. To this day, I can say this. First of all, I love Volkan like a brother.
Yeah. What do you think? Is there anything you think he's hiding in there?
Oh, absolutely. He probably hates me. Okay? There's not a doubt in my mind that he goes home and curses me out every day. But whether he internalizes or whatever he does, I don't know. Thank you, Volkan. Thank you. But we have never, I can't even, forget about a fight. We've never gotten into an argument. He's never raised his voice to me. I've never raised my voice to him. I mean, we work intimately together. We're together 24/7. I talk to him way more than I talk to my wife in a given day. Never had an argument. Maybe a dozen times we've had a disagreement. Just, hey, I would handle this way. You would handle it this way. And we talk and we figure it out. But never had any issues whatsoever.
And tell me, I want to know, so you're an independent person. You're a solid entrepreneur. Yeah. You're a risk taker. Why a partner for you?
So, and that's funny because I've never had a partner. And I know very successful people in business. A lot of them will say, just do it on your own. You don't need to. Back to you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. Volkan is just like me. The respect that I have for him is just, he's just an amazing person.
Absolutely.
But I know my limitations. Yeah. Right? I know what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And I have
no BS. He's the most grounded. Like, he can calm the greatest storm.
And that's exactly it.
And that's what it is.
And you are the greatest storm.
And guess what? And he calms me. It's like therapy. I walk in. And he sees it. Like, he sees there's days I walk in, I have like steam coming out of my ears, and all of a sudden he'll just like, hey, come on, let's go take a walk. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have time to take a walk.
It's just his personality. He's just so zen.
Yeah. Listen, the one day I was losing my mind and he saw it. I wasn't saying anything. I was just working on me. He's like, come on, let's go take a walk. I'm like, where are we going? I don't have time. He's like, that'll still be there when you get back.
That is a perfect partner.
Let's go.
Perfect.
We walked down to the stream in Newtown. He's like, look at the way the water runs off of that rock over there. Isn't that pretty cool? And I'm looking. I'm like, dude, he calmed me. Wow. He calmed me, and he does that. Yeah. So we're very, talk about yin and yang, we're absolutely complement each other. Yeah. But listen, he is a deep thinker. A lot of people don't know. Volkan is highly intelligent.
He's
undergrad,
a doctor.
MBA. He's a veterinarian by trade. He's got so much to offer. But to answer your question, we do complement each other. I know my limitations. I'm not sitting there doing paperwork. That's not my thing. I don't write my offers. I don't do any of that type of stuff. Volkan takes care of that. He does the bookkeeping. He does everything related to the back office. He keeps the business going. So, and I'm just more of the, the PR, and I'm out there. People know Opus. They know my big bald head. Just have a big bald head. But he, from a retention standpoint, from an overall keeping the wheels oiled and the business, the machine running, he's that guy. Yeah.
Let's talk about for a minute the people that when you first started.
Yeah.
being in the business, we all heard, who's this Opus? And a lot of people were naysayers and didn't think that you would ever evolve into what you have become today, which is, one of the top brokerages in our area. So I always knew you could do it. I said that from the start.
You're always my biggest cheerleader.
I said that from the start.
Listen, I doubted myself in the beginning. Obviously, it's a big difference starting a brokerage, starting a business versus buying into a boxed business, right? And I remember talking to some franchise owners in the area, and they flat out told me, listen, you're never going to make this. And they told me, to me, that's what that allows me to grow. In my
drives
head, you tell me that I can't do something, I will do it. Like your son, you can't. That just motivates me and drives me to not only exceed my expectations, but just to just to set things on fire and grow. So that to me is so important. I love that because we aren't about that. So when I see the negativity, when I see the orange and whatever else, and what are you doing? Are you opening up another office, or what do you think? To me, I know what we're about. I know what we're doing, and I know my 200 and some odd agents that are with us right now and how they support us. We have our own army. Like we are there together. So what people say, we just kind of laugh about it because we talk about this prior to, and we say, okay, well, guess what? Opus is making another announcement. Let's hear what the people say. All of a sudden, hey, Mark, I got a call from so and so. Can you believe it? They're saying this, that, and the other thing. But that's business, right? When we first started out, no one knew Opus, and I had to call people. Hey, Mark Gatta from Opus Elite Real Estate. Wait, who? From who? From what? What is it? What is this Opus? Hey, we're a boutique brokerage in the area, and I have to now sell myself to them. We got a lot of that in the beginning, and we still get that in the new areas that we are kind of taking on, right? South Jersey, we didn't have a brand over there. Well, I went to an event the other day, and sure enough, everyone knows Opus. So, so we are growing, and we are growing rapidly, but now you get the opposite. People are asking, well, they're probably growing too fast, or they're probably, well, you know what? I've been in business long enough, so is my business partner, and so have my 200 and some odd agents. We know what we're doing. We won't ever take off more than we can chew, and we're growing at a pace that makes sense for us, and we're able to, we have amazing people aside from Volkan and myself that are there to run the business with us, and we're doing what we need to make sure this is successful. And that's it. That's what we're doing.
I mean, I guess the other, and since we've journeyed into that
You
part.
look good today, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look good.
My new t-shirt, Lauren?
Yeah, super. I gotta get one.
It's fresh out of the box, as you can tell.
Fresh out of the trash. Anyway.
So as you, and I want to go back to the agent part real quick because I think, and let's call the obvious. In the beginning, the attraction was you. People wanted to come, and because you're very active on social media, you produce high volume of numbers.
It's your energy.
But
I told you when I dropped dead on my tombstone, I told Volkan, it's going to say, I have no more
energy. You don't have to
energy.
apologize.
I hear people say, you have great energy. In fact, God, I'm blessed with great energy, but that is on my tombstone. I have no more energy.
But my thing is, and this is to me, and I'm gonna relate it to what I do. I get 50 million calls a day.
Yeah.
Come work for blah 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 bank, blah 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 blah, and every time it's the same thing. Who runs it? Who's the guy behind it? How much does he produce? How do you bring in business? I'll never forget the first day I got into this business, and the first guy he showed me the stock ticker, and he's telling me how to read 2 hours of this. I look at him and say, how do I sell a mortgage?
Yeah.
How do I sell a loan? Because this stupid shit's not going to pay my bills.
Nope.
How do I sell a loan?
Yeah.
Couldn't tell me how to sell a loan. He could tell me about bell curves and stocks and trades and T-bills, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So my whole point is, in the beginning, it was you. Forget, you could have called it whatever you wanted. It was, and it's still to this day. People, because you have a big following online,
sure.
You're very intentional in the way you do things. My question is, when someone comes here, and even from the beginning until now, they can understand, and you'll teach them the core tenets of how to sell real estate.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's important because not every brokerage will do that.
So, listen, at the end of the day, I have conversations with people every day. And, agents come on board and we bring on agents daily. We're very careful and we're very calculated in who we bring in for a lot of reasons, right? They have to have the right mindset, and we talked about that, but they have to be willing to grow in the business.
Coachable.
Okay?
They'd be coachable.
And they have to be.
Yeah.
Because no one knows that you and I had a conversation and you said, Opus isn't a great fit for us. But they do know if you come on board and you leave. right? It doesn't look good for you as an
True.
agent. It doesn't look good for me as a broker.
That's true.
Right? So retention is so much more important.
True.
To the point that I said we don't actively recruit, and we'll never call you to try to recruit you. But when you come on board, we make sure that you have all the tools necessary to grow. From a mentorship program to teams that will help you with every aspect of the business, to a full curriculum of classes, that rotate every quarter. To aside from that, we sprinkle in the new. So we have, just to help you understand the dynamic of the brokerage, right? So we have, when new agents come on board or agents come into the brokerage, we have a constant class. And you're part of that. Both of you are part of that, right? So we have a core curriculum of classes that rotate every quarter. So if you come in on month 2 of quarter 1, those same classes will be offered in month 2 of quarter 2 in case you miss. So you're constantly learning and constantly growing, but things change. So those cores are great, but that's not enough. So today we have a core class, but we also have another lunch and learn where we're featuring somebody coming in talking about AI and going to teach us about that, and ChatGPT. And then we have other classes where people will come in and do seminars on cold calling. So we do all of these, we offer all of these classes to all of our agents at no cost, obviously, but that's true with our mentorship program. A lot of companies will charge their agents for lots of different things. It's just not our model. I'm not knocking anybody that charges fees. We don't. Maybe it's an Italian thing. I don't want people talking about me because I took something from them.
Nothing returns more than an agent that produces well. Right? Because their fees that you're going to hit them for is nominal compared to if they become producers.
Yeah. Well, I laugh about it because you'll have somebody that says, hey, I'm at an 80-20 split at my brokerage. Oh, okay, or a 70-30 split. Are you? Okay, what about the franchise fee? Well, that's 6%. They separate that. Okay, what about the royalty fee? Well, that's 3%, but they separate that. What about your monthly fee? Yeah, it's $110, but I got to pay that anyway. And then what about your your E&O insurance? Yeah, that's only annually, so I'm not really worried about that. And what about your technology? Well, that's transactionally, so that's not a big deal either. Well, it's easy math.
Yeah.
Look at how much money you made. Look at how much money you paid. Divide those two numbers. That's your split.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you look at anything else, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
So I tell people, just divide those two numbers. Let me know what it is. We'll beat it. And the nice thing is, because we're not, we talked about having to work inside a box. We're not working in that box. If you come to me and you say, Mark, I need a cap, I'll give you a cap. You come to me and say, Mark, I need an office. We'll build you an office. We can customize commissions. We can customize structures of business. We can customize an office or your own office for you at no fee if you need to. But that's not for everyone. Some people just want to come in and sell. And if you want to come in and sell, you'll have the support, you'll have the technology, you'll have the latest and greatest of everything at no cost. And you run your business. When you sell, we all make money, and it's a beautiful thing.
But I think your secret sauce are your events.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me,
You like our events.
I do.
I think what differentiates. I mean, everything I can see. Okay, this guy can offer that. This guy, and yes, I understand all that. But the events, to me, are the backbone because it's how you ingrain yourself and intertwine with the communities you're serving.
Duplication is the highest form of flattery, right? They say. And you see now, which is a beautiful thing. A lot of other brokerages are starting to do these community events. They're starting to do all these things. I'm not saying that we're the pioneers, we started it, but in this area, that was what really put us on the map. And I love seeing other brokerages try to do the same thing, and they should do that because if it's all about making money, I can tell you 50 different brokerages that you can call up, and you'll make 100% commission. You'll pay them a nominal fee per month. And that's that. You won't have any support. You won't have an office to work out of. You won't be involved in anything. You won't feel that you're a part of something special. Our agents are not in it. And I just did a podcast about this the other day. Our agents know that they're part of something special. And that's what it's about. Because if it was only about making money, I mean, is that what life's about? Really?
And you have your outreach.
We have our 501c3, the Opus Outreach Foundation, that is funded by our agents.
Yeah.
We've donated tens of thousands of dollars per year. Like, that to me is what it's about. Obviously it's a business, you have to make money, and you will make money with us. But aside from that, there's nothing more gratifying than maybe more than once a year where you go and, and I know a lot of the bigger box franchises can't, dedicate more than that. But, they'll go out and they'll advertise all over social media once a year that they've done an event. Okay, well, that's great. We do things constantly, especially because we have so many offices now, and community outreach is so important. So we know the value of that, and my agents that have taken the lead in different offices have embraced that, and they're doing the same thing. So the beauty of it is, yes, we're helping ourselves, we're making money, we're providing for our families, but we're touching so many other families in doing so. And that's what is more important than anything.
And you have your gala coming, right? It's a
Gala's
few
coming.
months away.
Yeah, I'm not going to announce the theme yet, but it's going to be pretty cool. There's really cool stuff going on. We do our client appreciation gala every year. It's going to be awesome. That's lots of fun. Agents can bring their spouses. This sounds like a recruiting video. I don't want it to be that way. It's just it's a way for us to celebrate our agents and to party with our people.
It's so much fun.
Listen, I spend more time with our agents than I do my family. So I want to have fun with my agents because that's my family. In addition to my family. So my family will be there. Your family will be there, and it's just a great time. We invite other co-ops to come as well. It's just it's a nice way to enjoy each other's company and not have to worry about. No offense, lenders talking in your ear, trying to average, or title companies, or home inspectors. Yeah, there's people that help make those days possible. Sure. You guys are sponsors of our gala, obviously. Yeah. But it's not. You're doing it because you're in it for the better, and you're in it for the long run. You're not there to just try to recruit people and do that. You know that that's not what it's about. So that we have people that help make that day possible. It's just a fun day where we can just be together and enjoy and celebrate what we've grown together. Mm-hmm. So.
I mean, I think. And this is me bringing it back to the business of real estate. Yeah. I think that that I see, and you guys will see this, we all see it.
Are they reverse Grinches, by the way?
No, actually they're Brooks.
Oh, they're
Brooks.
Oh,
I found them.
God.
No, now you gotta
that just went horribly wrong.
stick your foot up so people can see. Can you lift it up?
They're Brooks. Horribly wrong. I have too many kids. Really.
I do know reverse Grinches though.
Yeah.
I've gotten into the sneaker movement. I've become a bit of a sneaker.
You're selling watches online now too? Like the jacket on trade. Yeah. So this is going a totally different direction. Okay.
No, it's not at all.
Just so you know, behind the scenes, our cameraman is beat red. He's dying right now. Like, we're well over time, and all you're talking about is sneakers and watches. Okay.
No, it's part. Listen, that's part of enjoying life. You got to do that stuff.
Oh, I love
no, I like, so for me, I'm looking at the evolution of your business and where you guys are going. And I want to get a little bit deeper into the stuff people may not know about, right? Okay. So let's talk about the back end. You have 4 kids, yes, right? On the back end, you've been working to build this real estate business, which you're a competitive guy. So let's not sit there. Don't give me this whole, I know you want to help people. I know you love the business. No bullshit. Where do you want to take this thing? Give me the real answer, the naked truth here.
So,
4 kids.
When I first of all, I don't know that any of my kids want to be involved in real estate. Yeah. So this is not about
one will. Statistically, one will.
Yeah, and I think so too. But I will say, I've talked to my kids, and they're all on the same page. Daddy, we don't want you to hand us anything if we get involved in the business. That's something we want to do on our own. So they may. But this is not about my kids.
One of his sons.
Can you shut up for a minute? Let me talk.
Identical.
Yes.
So, Vulcan has 3 children. I don't know if any of his kids want to be involved. Yeah. This is not about, it's about providing for my family. It's about helping our agents. We talked about that and embracing the strengths of our agents so we can grow because Vulcan and I can only do so much together, right? But most importantly, where do I see this? When I first started, I told you, prior to real estate, prior to tanning, I was working with Radio Shack, right? So Radio Shack, in its heyday, had anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 locations. Nobody knew it. They knew Radio Shack was a little shoebox store where you could buy your capacitors, resistors, and get your free red battery and whatever else. The old ladies would come in.
And the RV.
And little remote control cars and stuff
cool.
like that. But Radio Shack built its business on community involvement, giving back, being a part of something special in the community, but most importantly, knowing their client, okay? So you had 4 or 5 people working in one location, unlike a Circuit City or a Best Buy where you had hundreds. And they had 4 or 5 people working out of one location, but they were told and they were trained to make sure they knew everything about their clients when they walked in. So they became masters, they became the authority, they became the elite in the area that they service. So for me, in a perfect picture, I would never want 500 agents working out of one office. I laugh when I see that agents come from other big box companies and they work together for 10 years and they didn't even know they worked for the same company. That to me is like shame on ownership because that should not be that way. That is wrong. So I would not, and in their defense, it's very hard if you have that many people under one roof.
Of course.
So listen, we have 250 agents. We have 8 offices. Do the math. So we don't have hundreds of people working out of one location. Do all of our agents know each other? Probably not. Do all of our agents that work out of one particular office know each other? 1,000%. They're involved intimately together on a daily basis. But I would say that the majority of our agents do know each other. And they have been involved. We make it a point to make sure that they know each other through these different events that we have within the office to make sure that there's that sense of camaraderie and that sense of just belonging, right? There's nothing worse than walking into a room and not knowing people. And you won't see that. You walk into our office. I don't care if you just walk in off the street. They're going to all introduce themselves. They know because they're all like us. And you would do the same thing. Somebody walks into your office, you're going to say hello, you're going to talk, you're going to introduce them to people. You introduced me to people today. So that's who our agents are. So if I had a crystal ball, I would love to be, it sounds crazy because Radio Shack is now going under, but the Radio Shack model is where I came up with this concept of let's open these boutique offices in walkable towns, Main Street USA towns, and then we connect the dots and merge them all and kind of come together. So you've seen our business model that would have started working in all of these walkable towns, the Bristol borough, the Newtown borough, the Front Street in Fishtown, the Main Street in Robbinsville, the Haddon Avenue in Haddon Township. Well, now we've brought in other offices, Fairless Hills, which isn't necessarily part of our model, but the people are the same. They're the same. So we're able to bridge the gap between those walkable towns now and open up more offices. So what I would like to see is, I'd love to see 5,000 Opus offices throughout the course of the United States, provided we can scale and grow appropriately, the people stay like-minded, and we don't lose that culture, that mindset that we have. That's what I would love to see.
Which is very hard to keep.
Yeah, it's ridiculously hard to keep.
Yeah.
And we see that as we grow. It's so hard. But I will tell you, just like I tell my agents, and I did a video for our agents yesterday, and I said, yes, we're growing. Yes, we're growing rapidly. Yes, we have things in place to make sure that you feel like you're still part of something special. If the day ever comes that you don't feel like you're getting what you signed up for, that sense of intimacy, that sense of family, that sense of belonging, the day that any of our agents tell us that, anyone, I'll put the brakes on. We need to fix it. If we can't fix it, we just stop growing. I don't need the money. I don't need it. I live my life very frugally. I have chickens for my eggs. I cure my own meat. I make my own wine. I live off the land like my parents taught me. I don't need it. I live in a very modest home. I don't live above my means. So why would I in any way hinder the growth of our baby, this beautiful thing that we've started, by bringing on people and trying to grow too fast? I would just not grow. And that's that. But if we can grow, and we can scale appropriately.
But if someone presents Mark with an opportunity, poor Maria and Volkan go, oh God, not again!
Pretty much. Listen, I'm still an entrepreneur. I still want to grow. If we can do it while maintaining the same culture, we're going to do it. So I called Volkan the other day. I'm like, yo, can you run a restaurant? He just put his head down. I'm like, I got a great idea. So
Poor guy.
These lights are hot, and my head is shiny. It's got to be really shiny. People out there, my head's usually not this shiny, but Nicole's got her beauty lights. What do you call these ring lights? These beauty lights? What do they call these things?
Beauty lights, yeah.
Beauty lights? Yeah. Beauty lights. To make me look beautiful.
Well, that's all. It's good. I got it. I think we got a good session.
Yeah, I think so.
For an hour straight.
I think so. That's why you're hot.
Okay.
So Opus Elite, we're gonna do it today. Actually, today you're doing a grand opening of another announcement. This won't be live, so you'd be.
I was about to say, wait, just blow it out there. First reel goes out in 2 minutes. Nobody even knows, but yeah, we're launching another office.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the growth. It's fun to watch the growth, but ultimately, it's fun to see you evolve, personally and professionally. And Volkan, you guys are really doing a good job at maintaining the integrity of what you started out to do, while also adding and scaling in volume. And look, at the end of the day, I think that's the purpose. Again, we go back to this. It's the purpose of why we're doing this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's to really understand why people who are so successful at what they do, why they do it, how they did it, and really break down, what they see for themselves and how they treat others. And ultimately, Mark, I'm going to sum it up. I think your biggest key to success is the way you treat other people.
Thanks.
100%.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
You are, no one is as authentic and likable in the way they treat people and how you develop relationships. And ultimately, it's loyalty.
Yeah.
The loyalty, which I think goes back to the Italian roots,
Yeah.
if I'm going to say.
And the Turkish roots. Listen, Volkan and I talk about it all the time. And the Turkish roots, right? So that European mindset stands true. We always talk about loyalty and respect.
Yeah.
And I asked Volkan, like, do you get mad at me? He's like, sometimes. There's nothing that's, And again, he's the exception to the
I have a
rule,
whole room
but-
for you in my house.
Yeah, he's got a freaking voodoo guy like this. Yeah, but, but no, it's a mutual respect for each other and for all of our agents. And if you respect each other and you love each other, then the rest can all be fixed. All the rest can be fixed.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Good?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it
you.
as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching another edition of the Rockstars podcast. Please follow us on YouTube. We'll see you soon for our next episode.
So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna trade my clerk for a rockstar dame. Might even get my broker to change his game. Cause we all just wanna work with title rock stars and sell some hilltop houses closing 15 more. The cities come easy and the closings go quick. We'll all stay busy cause we just don't quit. And we'll